Anyway, let's move on to Ukraine then, Patrick. What's the latest?
So let's just look at some of the updates here. Well, just to follow on from where we were last week, the counteroffensive is underway here. And so we've got Ukraine, along with NATO, US, and Britain, versus Russia. Let's take a look at this. You've probably seen these reports, Mike, over the last 48 hours. Major missile strikes in Odessa. So Odessa, down on the southern coast of the Black Sea. This is seen as one of the most strategic points that will end up possibly deciding, the end of the conflict in whatever shape it comes. So massive cruise missile strikes there. Russia's vowing to hit, quote, decision-making centers. And there are quite a few of those apparently in Odessa, and this is where they're launching attacks on Crimea. So in terms of Russia's security, this is a big priority. Now, we talked about the Kharkovka Dam last week and in previous reports. There is some harrowing footage of what was found at the bottom of that. I wish we could show that. We'd have time to get it into the program. But they found, Mike, from actual Nazi soldiers, helmets and skulls from World War II when the reservoir drained. I mean,
really?
Unbelievable. I mean, it's like something out of a film. But let's take a look at the hardware losses here. We talked about some of the losses last week. Now, this is from Rybar. Let's take a closer look at this. This is just during the first days, Mike, of the counteroffensive. 101 vehicles. This is based on open source data, looking and counting from different video reports and camera shots that were available here. So you're talking about massive amounts of tanks, their armored vehicles, Bradleys, MRAPs, Leopard 2 tanks, pretty much everything that the West has been shipping over there has been turned into scrap metal in Ukraine. So the losses are substantial. Russian MOD is putting dead soldiers on the Ukrainian side, Mike. Latest report, they're putting it at above 9,000. Now, this is just in the last, 10 days, 10 days or so. So, and Russia's also estimating 10 to 1 for every one Russian soldier that's killed, 10 Ukrainians are. So we talked about some of the numbers last week. They're pretty shocking, and it continues to look really bad. But and so here's how some of the Western press, this is Quest France, and so what they're saying here, they're blaming this, Mike, on poorly trained Ukrainian special forces here. We've translated this, obviously. This is a translation using Google Translate. Should we doubt the competence of the Ukrainian tankers sent to the front to take part in the offensive in the Zaporozhye Oblast? Should we put the heavy losses recorded at the end of last week on the inexperience of the crews? Certainly well-equipped and well-trained, but not seasoned. 15 Ukrainian tanks destroyed or damaged in south of Zaporizhzhia could bear witness to this. So,
well, I mean, the point there is, as Brian was making on Wednesday, is they may be well trained, but what are they well trained in? Because of course, the people that are doing the training have no direct experience of this type of warfare. So they may be well trained, but they're well trained in getting killed is pretty much how it seems.
So they're getting textbook training, right?
Yes.
By NATO trainers.
Right.
But these NATO trainers have zero experience in combined warfare combat.
Right.
In fact, the Ukrainian conscripts have more experience than the NATO troops do. But hey, that might not mean anything. So a lot of these tanks, Mike, are showing up, these Leopard tanks that were said to be game changers. They're appearing as scrap metal war porn videos all over the internet. So guess, Mike, who's going to come to the rescue to backfill the European tank stocks? Well, lo and behold, here's the Times of Israel. Israel plans to sell the vaunted Merkava tank to 2 countries, including one in Europe. So Israel claims they're going to come to the rescue here and save Europe. So let's just take a look at the performance of the Merkava tank. I have some highlights here. These are from 2006. Where is this from? These shots are from South Lebanon, 2006. So as what Hezbollah did to the Merkava tanks last time they saw any real combat, I'm just going to say, Mike, that what Russia is putting up in terms of artillery and Lancet drones and so forth is a lot more substantial than what Hezbollah had in 2006. So I don't think the Israeli tanks are going to fare much better than the Leopard 2s and the other German and NATO scrap metal models. So that's what's going on there. So Israel's getting in, not to arm Ukraine, but to backfill Europe on the tank stock. So There's NATO has been really pushing this. We need to stay, Mike, to the long haul. Like, we need to go as long as it takes. So they're releasing some incredible propaganda videos. I don't know if you've seen any of these, but they're pretty shocking. This one is, so we're not at war directly with Russia, right? That's what they're saying. But watch this video and tell me if this video is saying that or not. Go ahead and roll this.
We will continue to support Ukraine for as long as it takes. We will not back down.
Great video, right? It's impressive, right?
We're just seeing more and more of this type of stuff at the moment.
They're really ramping up the propaganda.
Yeah.
So according to Colonel McGregor, in terms of reserves, Ukraine's got something between 40 and 50,000 troops left at this current rate of attrition. How long is this war going to last?
Yeah.
A few months more? But NATO's saying, nope, we're going to be in for the long haul. Those F-16s will be there in 2024. Don't worry. Just hang on. So Anders Rasmussen, someone you're familiar with.
Well, the previous Secretary General of NATO.
And how would you rate him as a credible geopolitical and diplomatic commentator?
Well, I get the feeling he's more competent than Jens Stoltenberg, but that's on a sliding scale. That's still pretty far towards the not very end of that.
I'm going to say more sinister than Jens Stoltenberg.
Yeah. Here's
what Anders Rasmussen has said. Again, we're not at war, right?
So we're told.
We're not at war with Russia. Let's listen to Anders here in this intimate sit-down interview he just did.
We should sustain joint training and exercises under EU flag and NATO flag, also on Ukrainian soil. We're speaking about billions of dollars or euros, but we're already doing that. This is a codification of what we're already doing.
But extending the timeline for a very long period.
Yes, but we are already stating that we are in this for as long as it takes. Ultimately, the only security guarantee, I would say the ultimate security guarantee would be for Ukraine to join NATO and be covered by Article 5.
Polling has shown that...
So he just said it.
He did. He said EU and NATO flags on Ukraine soil, and he said Ukraine needs to join NATO. That's pretty clear.
And he used Ukraine as an Article 5 trap.
Right.
He said it. So that's the former Secretary General, right, of NATO. So that's what's going on behind the scenes. Whether that manifests on the battlefield or not remains to be seen. Now take a look at this. International Atomic Energy Agency here. We'll go to this next slide. They've sent their inspector to the Zaporozhye Nuclear Power Plant. And what they're finding, Mike, here is evidence of howitzer fragments damaging the cooling systems here. So this is pretty damning evidence. So they've sent their inspection teams here. So they're firing at, this is evidence, they're firing at NATO, US weapons, firing at the nuclear power plant. Cooling systems, okay? Yeah. So this has happened. So why is this important? Because if NATO's looking for an entree into Ukraine, it would be an international incident of concern that would affect a Chernobyl-type alarm that would affect the international community. I think that's why there's so much focus with the counteroffensive by NATO around Zaporozhye to create an incident where they're going to say, even they'll pull the Chinese in, they'll pull everybody and say, we need international peacekeepers to stop a future Chernobyl-type situation. God forbid if a dirty bomb goes off or if some other incident happens, okay?
But once you start bringing in international forces like that, whether it's under a peacekeeping banner or not, this becomes a very dangerous situation very quickly.
It is, but the idea from NATO is to freeze the conflict along the existing lines, and to be able to save Odessa, for instance, and keep that into Ukrainian or Western hands.